Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. So I want you to do something for me real quick. Just close your eyes for a second. Try to picture this incredibly heavy, suffocating atmosphere. You can hear the low, steady hum of industrial ventilation, maybe the faint wail of a distant siren echoing through foggy, choked streets. We're right at the dawn of the Cold War. It's a time when the world was literally gripped by shadows, secrets, and this overwhelming, paralyzing fear. Today, we're diving into a story that honestly feels like it was ripped straight out of a high-stakes Hollywood espionage thriller, but the crazy part, it is entirely, terrifyingly real. We're looking at the man who sold nuclear secrets.
So think about this. How do you actually steal a weapon that can destroy the entire world? It's a pretty staggering thought, right? I want you to imagine the profound contrast here. On one side, you have this towering, world-ending mushroom cloud. Just this raw, apocalyptic display of power rising over a barren desert, sending out shockwaves that physically shake the earth. And then, on the other hand, you have the source of its theft, a lone, completely unnoticed man just sitting quietly in a dim, smoky room. No massive explosions, no grand gunfights. Just a flickering desk lamp and a few pieces of paper that would completely alter the course of human history.
Okay, let's dive straight into Act 1, the beginning. Let's rewind to the summer of 1945. This is when humanity abruptly and honestly violently entered the nuclear age. The world's first atomic explosion didn't just end a world war, it completely transformed warfare itself, period. As that massive fireball expanded, glowing neon orange against the dark desert sky, with the heat literally rippling through the air, it instantly triggered a super dangerous new global race for dominance. We had officially unlocked the power of the atom, and in doing so, we opened a terrifying Pandora's box that we could never, ever close. Now, to really wrap your head around how these secrets were stolen, you have to understand how fiercely they were guarded in the first place. The secret program, the Manhattan Project, was an operation of just unprecedented scale and absolute secrecy. We are talking locked, steel doors, heavily armed military security at every single turn, and literally thousands of the world's most brilliant scientists working in total isolation. The whole goal was to build a weapon capable of wiping out entire cities in seconds. But here is the ultimate irony of the whole shebang. They built walls thick enough to keep out any foreign army, but they were completely unaware that the absolute greatest threat to their monopoly on this apocalyptic power, well, he was already sitting quietly inside the room. So, among all those brilliant minds working beneath those steel pipes and dim industrial lights, there was one scientist who would go down as one of history's most infamous spies. You know, he wasn't some flashy cartoon villain. He was quiet, highly intelligent, and completely unnoticed. Picture him just sitting at a wooden desk, maybe a cigarette smoldering in the ashtray, rain streaking the window panes, while he meticulously reviews classified folders. He was a deeply, deeply conflicted man, standing right at the dead center of the world's most dangerous secret. And this brings us right to Act 2, the spy network. Now, you've got to understand, this wasn't some dramatic smash-and-grab robbery. It was a slow, agonizingly methodical bleed. The actual mechanics of the leak, they involved highly sensitive atomic blueprints spread across cold steel tables, being captured flash by flash with vintage spy cameras. It meant taking heavily coded messages and transmitting them from hidden safe houses bathed in dim red light. It meant taking a sealed envelope and just passing it to a total stranger in a dark, rain-slicked urban alleyway right beneath a flickering street lamp. Piece by agonizing piece, data that was capable of accelerating a rival nation's nuclear program by years was quietly moving through this massive, hidden global intelligence network. And honestly, the contrast of this man's double life is just chilling. To his neighbors, his colleagues, this scientist was just an unassuming guy. He lived this perfect facade of a quiet suburban life. He had an ordinary job, warm household lighting, family photographs neatly arranged on the mantle. But scratch the surface and boom, hidden espionage. Behind a closed drawer in that totally ordinary house lay highly classified documents, direct links to global intelligence networks, and the literal keys to shifting global power. It's crazy to think about. The fate of global superpowers rested quietly in his hidden desk drawers, while the rain just tapped softly against his living room window. Which sets the stage perfectly for Act 3, the consequences. So, the American nuclear monopoly crumbled, and I mean it crumbled with terrifying speed. We start in 1945 with the first U.S. atomic test, right? But by the late 1940s, thanks to our quiet scientist and his whole network, those classified files had been secretly transferred over. And in the following years, the unthinkable actually happens. An opposing superpower successfully tests their very own atomic bomb. The secret was officially out. Global trust evaporated in an instant, totally shocking the world and setting the stage for decades of massive buildups of nuclear missile silos. The arms race hadn't just started, it was in a full-blown sprint.
Of course, when the monopoly broke, governments went into absolute panic mode. Authorities quickly realized their most fiercely guarded secrets were completely compromised. What followed was literally one of the largest FBI-style espionage hunts in modern history. Imagine tense, smoke-filled government offices, harsh desk lamps, walls just plastered with photographs connected by red string, desperately trying to hunt down this invisible leak inside the atomic program. This led to incredibly intense interrogations in dark rooms, where some confessed and others denied everything. Eventually, the whole scandal exploded into public view. Courtrooms were packed with journalists, and governments used these very arrests as terrifying proof to their citizens. Proof that the Cold War wasn't just some political disagreement happening overseas, it was a hidden, active battlefield right in their backyards.
And this brings us directly to the human cost, the visceral global panic. Because it wasn't just politicians and generals feeling the heat here, it was everyday families, like you and me. Distrust between superpowers intensified so rapidly that fear literally spread like a wildfire. Families started practicing nuclear fallout drills in their living rooms. Civilians would rush underground to the sound of blaring emergency sirens. Governments poured massive resources into building these huge subterranean bunkers. All because of a few envelopes handed over in rainy alleyways. Entire populations began living permanently under the heavy, constant shadow of atomic destruction. 0. That is the number of nations our quiet scientists believed should control such destructive power alone. None of them. Decades later, historians are actually still debating his true motivations in those symbolic, dim, underground archive rooms. Like, was it a radical ideology? Was it a deep-seated fear of an unchecked superpower running rampant? Was it twisted loyalty, or simply a desperate attempt to force a balance of power by ensuring mutual destruction? He truly believed that if both sides had the weapon, neither side would ever actually dare to use it. Secrets exchanged in silence can change the fate of the entire world. Wow, this quote perfectly encapsulates the heavy, haunting legacy of this monumental leak. That stolen information profoundly accelerated the nuclear standoff between East and West. Within just a few years, both sides possessed enough warheads, sitting there, illuminated in the darkness of their silos, to destroy human civilization many times over. Because of one man's actions in the shadows, humanity was pushed into a permanent, high-wire nuclear standoff. Which leaves us with a pretty chilling final thought to wrap up this explainer. Are we still living in the shadow of those stolen secrets today? The nuclear age began in a flash of blinding light, but its future was shaped entirely in the dark. This spy's actions changed history forever, and from that exact moment forward, the fate of humanity has rested on the terrifying balance created by those leaked files. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. It's a haunting reminder of our past, and honestly, a critical question for our future.